Did you know that each episode of I Love Lucy cost the equivalent of a house price at the time? And that Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz revolutionized not only comedy, but the entire American television business model with a financial decision that would change Hollywood forever. Get ready for a nostalgic journey behind the scenes of the show that made the entire country stop on Mondays at 9 p.m. When I Love Lucy premiered on October 15, 1951, television was still a precious novelty in American homes. Only 10% of households owned a TV set, but that number was growing exponentially each month. CBS bet on an experimental format, a sitcom starring a red-headed comedian with extraordinary talent for physical comedy and her real-life Cuban husband. What no one could predict was that this experiment would become the most watched program in the United States for 4 of its 6 seasons, establishing technical and commercial standards that would shape the industry for the next 70 years. The series was born under unique circumstances. Lucille Ball was already a radio star with her program My Favorite Husband, and CBS wanted to transfer that success to television. However, Lucy insisted that her real-life husband, Desi Arnaz, should play her husband on screen as well. Executives hesitated, doubting that American audiences would accept a mixed couple in prime time. To prove them wrong, Lucy and Desi invested $5,000 of their own money, approximately $56,000 in current values, to create a vaudeville act that they took on tour. The success was so resounding that CBS had no choice but to approve the program on the couple's terms. Philip Morris, the tobacco giant, was the main sponsor, paying the impressive sum of $8,000 per 1-minute commercial in 1951. To contextualize, that's equivalent to about $90,000 today. The commercials were integrated into the program in ways that now seem unthinkable. Lucy and Ricky frequently smoked the brand's cigarettes during episodes, and there was even a Philip Morris logo in the Ricardo's apartment. Other major sponsors included Procter & Gamble, General Foods, and Pontiac, who saw in I Love Lucy a golden opportunity to reach the growing television market. Now let's get to the numbers that really matter. Each episode of I Love Lucy cost approximately $30,000 to produce in 1951. To get an idea of what that means, an average house in American suburbs cost about $9,000 at the time. In current values, each episode would cost approximately $340,000. A figure considered low by today's standards, but absolutely exorbitant for early television. A complete season with 35 episodes, the standard in the first season, reached an impressive $1,050,000. Throughout its 6 seasons and 180 total episodes, the complete production of I Love Lucy exceeded $400,000 without adjustment for inflation. But here's the financial genius that changed everything. When CBS insisted that the program should be filmed in New York, where live broadcasts were the standard at the time, Lucille and Desi made a revolutionary counter-proposal. They accepted a 20% cut in their salaries to be able to film in Hollywood, with one condition that would transform the television business forever. They would retain the ownership rights of the program through their production company, Desilu Productions. CBS, seeing only the immediate cost savings, accepted without realizing they were giving away a goldmine. This decision proved to be one of the greatest masterstrokes in television history. By holding the rights to the program, Lucy and Desi were able to film on 35mm film instead of kinescope, the inferior quality used in most programs of the time, which allowed for high-quality reruns decades later. Invent the concept of reruns as we know it today. Before I Love Lucy, TV programs were considered disposable products, watched once and forgotten. Establish the 3-camera format for sitcoms filmed before a live audience, a method still used today in programs like The Big Bang Theory and Friends. The production cost was divided approximately as follows: 30% for main cast salaries, 25% for technical crew, 20% for sets and costumes, 15% for writers, and 10% for miscellaneous expenses, including the innovative 35mm of filming equipment that Desi insisted on using. Speaking of salaries, in the first episodes, Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz earned $10,500 each per week, already a considerable amount for 1951, equivalent to approximately $28,000 weekly today. With the tremendous success, that figure jumped to $5,000 weekly in the third season, and reached an impressive $10,000 per week in the final episodes in 1957, making Lucy the highest-paid woman in American television. As for the supporting actors, Vivian Vance and William Frawley, the beloved neighbors Ethel and Fred Mertz, initially received $450 per week, later increased to $1,000 in the third season. A curious and controversial detail: there was a clause in Vivian Vance's contract stipulating that she should maintain herself 10 kilos above her ideal weight to appear less attractive than the protagonist, something unthinkable by today's standards, but common at that time. Another interesting fact: there was a specific clause in William Frawley's contract prohibiting him from showing up drunk to recordings, something that Desi Arnaz insisted on including, knowing the actor's reputation for enjoying a good whiskey. The budget for writers was another differentiator for I Love Lucy. The series employed a team of 5 permanent writers, including Jess Oppenheimer, Madeline Pugh, and Bob Carroll Jr., who received weekly salaries instead of payments per episode. Indeed, an innovative practice that ensured stability and creative consistency. Each writer earned between $1,000 and $2,500 per week, very high values for the time. Lucy insisted on exhaustive rehearsals for each episode, often for 5 days before filming, which increased production costs but ensured the impeccable quality of the physical comedy scenes that became her trademark. The costs for sets were also substantial. The Ricardos' apartment on East 68th Street in Manhattan, which never actually existed, since the address mentioned in the show would be in the middle of the East River, cost $15,000 to build initially, about $170,000 in current values. Each additional set, such as the Tropicana Club where Ricky worked, cost an average of $5,000. A typical episode used 2 to 3 sets, but special episodes like Lucy Goes to Scotland or Lucy's Italian Movie, the famous grape-stomping episode, could cost twice as much due to elaborate sets and special costumes. Compared to other popular series of the time, I Love Lucy was an expensive investment, but one that proved extraordinarily profitable. The Honeymooners with Jackie Gleason cost about $15,000 per episode. Dragnet, one of the first successful police dramas, cost approximately $25,000. Gunsmoke, the western that would break longevity records years later, started with a budget of $20,000 per episode. None of them, however, reached the ratings of I Love Lucy, which easily reached 40 million viewers per week. Almost 67% of all American television sets tuned in to contextualize the cultural and commercial impact. The episode Lucy Goes to the Hospital, where Lucy gives birth to little Ricky, was watched by 44 million people, more people than watched President Eisenhower's inauguration the next day. This episode alone generated $400,000 in advertising revenue, an astronomical figure for 1950s television. The true financial revolution, however, came with reruns. In 1957, when the original series ended, Lucille and Desi sold the rerun rights of the 180 episodes to CBS for $5 million, equivalent to almost $50 million today. This unprecedented deal established the syndication model that sustains the television industry to this day. CBS recovered this investment in less than 3 years and continued profiting from reruns for decades. In 1960, Lucille Ball bought Desi's share in Desilu Productions for $2.5 million, becoming the first woman to run a major Hollywood studio. Under her leadership, Desilu produced hits like Star Trek and Mission Impossible before being sold to Paramount in 1967 for $17 million, approximately $150 million in current values. Ironically, the rights to I Love Lucy would eventually return to CBS Paramount, which estimates having generated more than $700 million in revenue from syndication, DVDs, streaming, and merchandising over 7 decades. A fascinating detail about the economic impact of the series. When the episode where Lucy announces her pregnancy aired, sales of diapers and baby products surged 25% in the USA in the following months. The American economy in the 1950s was closely linked to the influence power of I Love Lucy. Economists estimate that each $1 invested in the production of the series generated approximately $150 in economic activity over the decades, a return on investment practically unparalleled in media history. And what about the technical costs? Desi Arnaz's decision to film on 35mm film, using 3 cameras simultaneously, an innovation at the time, added $5,000 to the cost of each episode. CBS executives considered this a waste, but this long-term vision ensured that even 70 years later we can watch I Love Lucy with impressive visual quality, something impossible for many other programs from that era that were filmed in low-quality kinescope. Another revolutionary aspect, I Love Lucy was the first program to use a specific makeup team for black and white television. Lucille Ball insisted on hiring makeup artist Max Factor Jr. to develop a special foundation that would appear natural on cameras of the time. The cost, $150 per episode just for makeup, equivalent to $1,700 today, an unprecedented luxury that contributed to the iconic visual of the series. The financial and cultural legacy of I Love Lucy is simply impressive. 6 decades later, the series has been broadcast in more than 80 countries and translated into 22 languages. Interestingly, the episodes where Lucy tries to learn Spanish to impress Ricky's family in Cuba are particularly popular in Latin America. The humor transcends language barriers thanks to Ball's brilliant physical comedy. But beyond the numbers, what makes I Love Lucy truly special is how it continues to win over generations who never dreamed of being born when Lucy desperately tried to get into Ricky's show at the Tropicana, or when she struggled to keep up with the chocolate conveyor belt in a factory. That contagious laughter, that imperfect but true love, those lasting friendships, all of this is priceless. A fact that few know. In the 1980s, NASA sent episodes of I Love Lucy into space as part of a time capsule. Scientists argued that the universal physical humor of the series could be understood by any form of intelligent life, potentially making Lucy Ricardo the first Earth celebrity to be known on other planets. Currently, streaming platforms pay millions annually for the rights to broadcast I Love Lucy. The series that cost $5.4 million to produce has already generated more than $1 billion in revenue throughout its existence, considering all forms of commercial exploitation. This represents a return on investment of approximately 18,000%, numbers that would make any Wall Street investor cry with envy. As fans, we can watch I Love Lucy today and appreciate not only the laughs, but also the incredible legacy of financial and technical innovation that the program represents. Each episode we watch is the result of a bold bet made by a couple who believed in the power of television when it was still in its infancy. And now tell me in the comments, what's your favorite scene from I Love Lucy? Did you know about these astronomical values behind the laughs? And more importantly, do you think any modern sitcom is worth every penny like I Love Lucy was? Don't forget to leave your like, share with other nostalgic fans, and hit the bell for more secrets of the series that marked our lives.